Ladies and gentlemen, the Governor of Texas.
Thank you. I say thanks to everyone for joining us today. And for more than 200 years, the United States has stood as a beacon of freedom, a friend of people fighting for their own freedom all over the world. What has sustained our nation time after time, protected us in periods of darkness. The brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces who nobly stepped forward on the line between us and those who would do us harm. Over the generations, we've been able to depend upon their bravery, their dedication, their self-sacrifice, time and time again. And this generation is certainly no different. The young men and women of this generation have been asked to perform on battlefields in Iraq, Afghanistan, standing up against the forces of terror at home and abroad. Without their willingness to give their all, if required, America would be nothing but a sad footnote in history. Just a place that held great promise once upon a time. Among the most solemn and meaningful honors that can be presented to a member of our country's armed forces is the Purple Heart. This award represents true sacrifice. It goes to our most valiant warriors who place themselves in harm's way for the good of the country and the combat. They fought, they were wounded for all of us. In dedication to the principles that continue to make this the greatest country in the world. Today, we are honoring a particularly brave individual, Staff Sergeant Patrick Rogers. Not only served his country in Iraq and Afghanistan, he also served as a medic, which means he really didn't get started until everything started getting really bad. Never worse than on June the 1st of 2012 at forward operating base Salerno in Afghanistan. That's not very far from the Pakistani border. That's when a suicide bomber driving a truck with close to a ton of explosives crashed into the base perimeter, collapsing the mess hall where Sergeant Rogers and his fellow soldiers were eating. Rising up out of that rubble, he shrugged off his own injuries and began providing assistance to his wounded comrades, evacuating those even though he had rather horrific conditions himself. Through the breach created by the terrorist blast came a number of insurgents, more than a dozen, heavily armed, loaded down with explosives. Surrounded by heavy fire, Sergeant Rogers rode uncovered in the back of a truck, gathering the wounded, transporting them to the hospital. It wasn't until he was ordered to stop tending to the wounded that he finally relented, allowed other medics to take care of his own injuries. By early July, he had recovered enough to go back to duty. And on Independence Day, found himself under enemy fire. This time in the mountains of Afghanistan, dangling by wire under a Black Hawk helicopter, Sergeant Rogers recovered one wounded soldier, then was lifted to a 2-foot ledge on the side of the cliff to help rescue 2 other of his comrades. The pain from the injuries that he has sustained in the earlier bombing made all that even that much more difficult. Yet he accomplished his mission. Currently, he's stationed at Fort Hood. Physically, I should say, but his heart's back in Galveston, where his Shelby and PJ, and Dylan, and Brody are patiently waiting for his return. So it's my privilege and my humbling honor to present Sergeant Patrick Rogers with the Combat Medic badge, the Air Medal with V for Valor device, and the Purple Heart. So, Major Stillinger, if you will publish the order.
Attention to orders. Orders number 235-001. Staff Sergeant Patrick D. Rogers is being awarded the Combat Medical Badge, which was created by the War Department in March of 1945 for his actions while under enemy fire on July 4th, 2012, near Fab Herrera in eastern Afghanistan. Signed on August 22nd, 2012 by Terry J. Jameson, Colonel, Aviation, Commanding. Attention to orders. To all who shall see these presents, greeting. This is to certify that the President of the United States, authorized by executive order on May 11, 1942, has awarded the Air Medal with V device for valor to Staff Sergeant Patrick D. Rogers, 82nd Combat Aviation Brigade, for exceptionally valorous achievement while assigned to Task Force Wolfpack during Operation Enduring Freedom 12-13. His heroic actions during combat operations in Afghanistan on July 4, 2012 contributed to the overwhelming success of the command's mission. His bravery is in keeping with the finest traditions of military heroism and reflects distinct credit upon himself, Task Force Wolfpack, Task Force Pegasus, Combined Joint Task Force 1, and the United States Army. Given under my hand in the city of Washington the 6th day of September 2012, signed, John M. McHugh, Secretary of the Army. Attention to orders. To all who shall see these presents, greeting. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America has awarded the Purple Heart, established by General George Washington at Newburgh, New York, on August 7, 1782, to Staff Sergeant Patrick D. Rogers, United States Army, for wounds received in action on June 1, 2012 in Afghanistan. Given under my hand in the city of Washington the 6th day of August 2012. Signed, John M. McHugh, Secretary of the Army.
I would like to thank my family first, my wife and boys. They put up with a lot of stuff, and my wife was helped immensely. My parents, my in-laws, they helped a lot too. just my whole family in general. I have an excellent command staff. Have since I've started aviation. Always very supportive. The command staff at Fort Hood and WTU right now is very supportive. I'd like just to thank everybody for the support. Thank you, Governor, for this. Something my kids will remember and I certainly will remember. And that's about it. Thank you very much.